Welcome to our latest webinar. So many channels, so little time about social media channels and usage. So just as a reminder, we do have a webinar every Tuesday and Thursday at 11 a.m. So we're going to be doing these. We have them set up through basically the week before Christmas. And we'll be continuing these after the holidays. We're working on our schedule of topics for that time frame. So check out the full list, and just as a general reminder, they're open for everybody. So if you have any people that are at your attractions, restaurants, hotels, anywhere that you feel like they'd be interested, willing to participate and come jump in and learn. We know some people are really actively trying to get ahead of recovery. So this doesn't have to be only CBDs or anything like that. So everybody is welcome. So any of your stakeholders that would potentially like to come, go ahead and pass them the list of all of our schedule, and we're happy to have them. And we are putting a recording of all of the webinars up on the industry portal once they are complete. So we are recording this, and then we'll post it up in the next few days to have it there for everybody who could not make it. So with that, I'm going to pass it to Teresa, who is going to do our presentation on social.
Absolutely. So as the name of this webinar alludes, there are so many social media networks, and most of our Louisiana CVBs, and not just ours, but DMOs across the country, are short on resources, not just today, but social teams are often a team of one or maybe only two. So we thought we would dive into the different social media channels. Today we're going to talk about the channels that are appropriate mainly for domestic travelers. Our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, LinkedIn, Snapchat, and TikTok. That's what's hot right now. So before diving into any social media network or into any social media marketing, it's important, I think, for any marketing, but especially social media marketing, to understand who your target audience is and know exactly the story you're trying to tell. What you'll learn is that each channel has a nuanced way that you'll want to share those messages. You want to know what types of content you can consistently produce. So you can you can create internal expectations for your organization, but you can also deliver on expectations of your followers. And then finally, you'll want to consider how your social media channels will support your website, since that's where ultimately most conversions take place. Diving straight into Facebook, it is still the largest social media network. Currently, Facebook is up to 2.6 billion active monthly users. So that's huge. An interesting statistic about Facebook, I thought, especially for Louisiana, Canadians are the most active users on social media. So from a perspective of our international audiences, there is huge reach there. We know that Canada is our top international audience. The Office of Tourism actually does have a Canadian campaign on pause, and it's in French Canadian and in English. So once the borders are open, we will begin resuming a promotion, just an annual promotion to potential visitors from Canada. Facebook is, when you talk about fishing where the fish are, this is a social media network that's been around for a long time. It's utilized by all age groups. So you are going to reach everyone from some Gen Z, millennials, certainly Gen X, baby boomers, plenty of baby boomers on here. I think everyone's grandma is on Facebook, right? That's where we share those family pictures. But Facebook also benefits you in that it can help boost your brand's SEO. You can be found and discoverable across search engines via the information in your Facebook profiles. This is especially important for your smaller businesses, those who may not have websites. So for them and for many small businesses, their Facebook page takes the place of a website in some instances. It is the single most affordable platform for ads for business. Again, for small business, there is a great interface for Facebook advertising. Sometimes it's just as simple as pressing a boost button, and you can extend advertising out through Facebook and Instagram both, now that Instagram is owned by Facebook. And Facebook is a top content distribution channel. It's certainly, this is one of the top channels where you will share information from your website out for consumption. So just some quick bullets on Facebook. What are you going to do there? You want to make sure you're having conversations. There is the ability to have two-way conversations and to engage with actual people. There's a constant feedback loop. It's a great place to crowdsource answers to questions for content you might want to create on your website. It's a good place to get a pulse for how people are feeling about your destination, your restaurant, whatever your brand is promoting. Facebook is a very visual network. So while you can just share a link to a page on a website, it's a good idea to check and make sure all of your visuals are up to date and everything is appealing. It looks like something you would want to click. So when I say visuals, we're thinking about beautiful photography or interesting photography. Certainly videos work very well on Facebook. What you want to steer clear of is photos with a lot of text over the image, because Facebook will typically penalize that type of content because it doesn't get clicked on often. So if you are sharing some festival information, I would say use a picture of the festival rather than a festival flyer with lots of words that's not really readable. And finally, as I mentioned before, Facebook is a great way to drive traffic back to your website so people can learn more about your destination, or if you're a restaurant, they can go there and make reservations. Certainly some attractions, you can buy tickets. So those conversions are things that whatever that signal of intent that people are interested in your product, that usually is going to happen on your website. So a top reason to use Facebook in your digital marketing efforts. Next is Twitter. Twitter's been around for a long time. It is still one of the top 4 social channels with 145 million active daily users. Twitter has evolved into something of a news channel. It's more like a ticker. Lots of there is surprisingly large number of Gen Z on Twitter. Definitely millennials and Gen Xers too. Facebook, Twitter ads. Twitter offers a self-service ad platform that's very convenient for marketers. And if you need to promote your message, the ads there are expensive, but they boast higher engagement rates. So perhaps that is a trade-off. What are we using Twitter for these days? Think about the old 800 number that we used to all maintain. Twitter's kind of become like an 800 number for many of us. It's a good place to have conversations. It's great for quick customer service, or if you have event changes or if something gets canceled, you'll want to share it there. It's a wonderful place to find out what people are saying about your brand. So you'll want to have searches set up so you know if people are having good experiences. This is a place where you can make recommendations and be helpful. So if you have a search set up around your destination, say, Amy, you're in Natchitoches. So you might have search terms set up for Natchitoches vacation or trip to Natchitoches. And you can search that column every day and you can find people who are talking about your destination and potentially planning a trip there, and lean into a conversation and give those people an opportunity to learn more, make some recommendations. It's a great place to share events. And remember, on Twitter, images are also huge. You see a lot of text only tweets. So images are nice in that news feed. They kind of interrupt the news. They and typically, if we're using the right images, they can serve to inspire people to click and find out what it is you're sharing. Next is Instagram. Obviously, this is the third time I've used the word visual. Social media is uber visual. So Instagram is the top visual social media platform. 1 billion users on Instagram now. Those users spend an average of 28 minutes per day on the app. Large millennial following. Gen Xers are also big on Instagram. Of users that have been surveyed, 200 million users visit at least one business profile daily. That's actually an Instagram statistic. And more than 100 million photos are shared daily on Instagram. This doesn't even get into the Instagram Stories product, which launched a couple of years ago. Now you can have long format content with Instagram TV. So highly recommend Instagram in your marketing mix. If you were going to have only 2 social channels in your marketing mix, to have the broadest audience, I would certainly recommend Facebook and Instagram. They're connected. They can be linked. You can do a lot in Creator Studio to create efficiencies within your organization. So from a perception standpoint, brands who use Instagram are considered, they're perceived as relevant and creative, and brands who are into building community. Instagram gives you an opportunity to elevate your brand with visuals. And again, with the stories functionality, you can elevate your brand's discoverability. So Instagram, again, a top channel for us. Pinterest is, I call it a social media workhorse. It is the best long play from a social media perspective. It's smaller than most of the networks in terms of active users, 360 million active users, but there are 2 billion monthly searches on Pinterest. So Pinterest is a channel for inspiration, but also aspiration. Lots of people, when they're looking for how to do things or how to create things or where to go, there's a lot of searches we know on YouTube for that type of content, but also on Pinterest. So there are boards dedicated to travel and tourism. 71% of the users on Pinterest are females, and we know as a vertical that most travel planners and households are female. So good to know we have our travel planners on this network. And again, pins have the longest shelf life of any social post. Facebook is going to be, your Facebook posts are obviously going to live on your profile. A tweet, the average life of a tweet is only a few minutes unless someone is visiting your profile. But with Pinterest, you have a long life on Pinterest, and the more people engage, the more you post, the more you engage, the more your content is going to be discovered. So Pinterest is positive and aspirational. You're not going to find caustic political conversations on Pinterest most of the time. It's a great place for you to share engaging content, articles from your website. It's a more elevated experience that reaps those rewards for a long time. What we typically see on Google Analytics for tourism websites is that among social media referrals, Pinterest is usually top 2 or 3. Oftentimes it's top 2. And this could be articles that you pinned years ago are still going to be discovered in those 2 billion searches monthly. LinkedIn is the place we're all familiar with for business connections. With an audience of 690 million, there are 3 million company pages on the network. So it's your second most popular B2B network. It's got a built-in publishing network or built-in publishing platform. So if you are a thought leader, or if you have relevant information, you can publish there without just sharing a link. You can actually publish on LinkedIn. So there are lots of benefits of using. I shared an example of the North Shore's LinkedIn profile. You can see that they're able to tag themselves, what are their top skills. They're great at event planning and PR. So you can also find planners. You can recruit employees. The meetings and event market benefits of LinkedIn are huge. So I always recommend, if you are a meeting or event destination, that your team members use and participate in LinkedIn groups. I've copied the MPI page here. You can follow them. But it's a great place to match up with meeting planners and show that you're relevant. You can publish articles and reach those professionals. Certainly showcase your destination or product, and then you can follow the activities of your followed connections on LinkedIn as well. Advertising is, you can do targeted advertising. So if you are a meetings destination, or if you have a specific niche group that has a professional group around it, you can almost always find them in LinkedIn search, and you can target them using LinkedIn ads. Snapchat is one we're still on the fence about. Now, there is a significant audience. Snapchat has been around since 2011. Doesn't seem like it's been that long, but it has been around a significant period of time. Millennials, Gen Z are your top Snapchat users. We know that millennials are planning more travel now than ever before. We also know that they're a lot of them, the ones who have the opportunity to work remotely, lots of them are working from destinations they are adventuring to with their laptop. Snapchat users open that camera app 20 times a day on average, and 40% of them have discovered brands in their influencer feed. All that to say that there are travel brands on Snapchat. The content for business and personal, so a personal business page content is going to be separated within the platform, so it's not as easily discoverable. This is a channel that, unless you have a well-defined strategy, not sure that it's going to be the best use of your time. However, we do recommend that you go ahead and grab up your username so someone else can't do that. It's less polished. It's it's carefully curated by the user. So if the user is interested in travel, they might discover your content. But what we've found to be the most popular is geo filters. There's a self-service platform where you can create geo filters. They can attract attention to your events and boost your brand awareness with the event. So that's probably the best use for a destination who only has a little time to dedicate to social media. Finally, our new shiny object is TikTok. TikTok's been around a couple of years. It rebranded or a few years, and it rebranded as TikTok 2 years ago. 800 million monthly users. There have been 1.5 billion app downloads. 41% of those are Gen Z, but these users spend 52 minutes a day on the platform. It's got the highest engagement rate of all social media platforms. And those stats make it really tempting to jump online and to create a TikTok account and start creating content. All that to say is there's a lot of noise, but it is about, it's there's a lot of music on TikTok and dancing, but that's not all it's about. There are some travel brands dipping their toes in. We can watch this TikTok from the Mexico Tourism Board, maybe.
5 cosas que debes hacer para festejar tus 15 años. Volar en un globo aerostático sobre Teotihuacán. Subir a lo más alto de la Peña de Bernal en Querétaro. Lanzarte desde un paracaídas en Playa del Carmen, Quintana Roo. Nadar en las aguas termales de las grutas de Tolantongo y visitar Guanajuato, Guanajuato.
All right. So hopefully you all brushed up on your Spanish before I showed you that. But you can see that Mexico is very it's pretty produced for a very short video. It's definitely they have a very popular channel, but I suspect they have they have a content creator on their staff who is highly curating and creating this content. TikTok's great from a discoverability standpoint with hashtags. If you have a hashtag you're currently using and promoting, content can be discovered around that, but you've got to have a strategy. The audience trends younger, but it's not unheard of that younger people are affecting travel decisions. But we also know that our younger audiences are travelers of tomorrow. TikTok, it's got to be a lot more entertaining than other channels. It's not quite as straightforward, and you need to have someone on staff who has time to innovate. So you really have to think about your brand personality on TikTok and how you're going to draw people in. It's an interesting one, I think, to use as an influencer play. There are some pretty interesting travel influencers on TikTok. So if you have an influencer budget, that might be something to play around with. Or you might, if you're considering inviting influencers to your area, you might talk to them about their TikTok presence and see if that's a channel that they would include in a takeover or sharing content about your destination.
5 cosas.
So key takeaways for today. First, you want to identify your brand's personality and think about how you're going to tell your story in a way that's appropriate for each of the different channels. You want to know who your audience is. If you're already online and already participating on social media, you can dig into those native insights and find out who your followers are. But otherwise, we know the people in our destinations. So your Google Analytics will help you identify who's looking for information on your brand. You want to have a defined digital strategy. This is the thing that can be your worst enemy, is to just jump into a channel or a new shiny object for the sake of jumping into it without a defined strategy. And certainly without defined goals. You want to have goals for each channel. They're going to be different. Some channels are only for inspiration, some are for engagement, and some channels are designed to drive people deeper into the conversion funnel or your website. Probably the most important thing to consider or to understand is your internal resources. Who do you have on your team who's going to be creating content for your social media channels? If it's one person, look at those audiences. What channels does your brand personality best fit? And stick with 2 or 3. And if you find out, or maybe not even that many, it may be that you have time for Facebook and Facebook only, and that's just fine. That's, again, you be fishing where the fish are. So if you have time to innovate, certainly experiment, but that's with understanding your internal resources. And finally, know what it is about your brand that makes you stand out from other destinations or restaurants or attractions, and really lean into what it is that makes your brand special. Any question?
Amy, you can feel free to unmute yourself if you have a question, or if you feel more comfortable, you can throw it into chat.
No, I don't think I have any questions. That was really good, though. I always wonder how TikTok is playing into everything with how quickly it's risen in social media. So that was really interesting.
Same.
Yeah, it's super interesting, but to keep people engaged with your channel, that's a lot of time to dedicate. And we have those internal conversations a lot. There are destinations who have staff on board who's younger and looking to innovate. And it's a phone-based app, so it's just a little different from a production standpoint. There are some great Louisiana TikTok channels. There's a guy who does with his daughter, who they do family names. Like, he'll pop up the name and have his daughter try to pronounce it. So it's funny and it's cute and it's super Louisiana. It's just, for me, wrapping my head around the type content that would bring people back and be able to deliver on an expectation consistently on TikTok is the big question mark. But I do think for travel that's going to be an influencer niche. But how expensive does that wind up being? Because TikTok too is one of those social networks that can be gamed. Followers can be bought. So I kind of add a word of caution here at the end for anyone who's considering hosting influencers to make sure those are real followers they have.
Great. Well, if there's nothing else, thanks for coming. We are going to post this up on the industry portal as a recording so that people can access it after the fact if they were unable to make it. And just another reminder to check out the full schedule, see what else you might be interested in, and get registered for those webinars and get them added to your calendar so they'll ding you on a reminder. And we will be rolling out some new webinars in that schedule for 2021 at the beginning of the year once we get past the holidays. So be sure to check back on that every now and then. We'll probably send out a notification when we add some additional content to the lineup. So thanks, and have a great day.
Thank you.